Between both of my channels, I've made well over 100 videos for this year alone, and some of them I think were pretty good. However, the viewers didn't feel the same about them as I did. So in this video, I'm going to count down 5 of my favorite videos from this past year and explain why. Then I'm going to list the 5 videos that received the most views this year and try to guess why they did so well. And at the end of the video, I'm going to tell you which video I wish I never made. Number 5 of my favorite videos is a second look at a Craftsman blower I had already looked at and claimed to be too worn out to work. The only way to get it to work again would be to rebuild the top end of the engine. I also said it wasn't worth fixing, so I just left it on the shelf while I considered what my options were with it. What changed was a few videos before this one, I was working on a different blower, and when I took that one apart, I found out that the piston ring was stuck to it. I was curious to know if that might be the situation with this Craftsman blower because I didn't see any major damage to the piston ring during my inspection. After taking it apart, it was very apparent that the same thing had happened to this one, and in a later video, we finally get it running. Now, the reason why this is one of my favorite videos is because it showed that anyone, including me, can make a mistake, but in the end, we got this blower off the garage shelf and gave it a second chance at life. The number 4 video on my list was a video I made trying to retrobrite a couple of fuel tanks from an older home light and a John Deere trimmer. Now, the John Deere needs an ignition coil, which is pretty expensive, and I'm in no hurry to get it working again, while the home light does work and was a gift from a friend years ago. Not to sound sappy, but I never knew the definition of what a good friend was until I met him, and to this day, I would drop whatever I was doing, even in the middle of filming, to help him out. That's why this video is one of my favorites. His gift means that much to me, so I think it deserves to look its best. However, things did not go according to plan, and every method I came up with had no effect on its appearance. Turns out this sort of discoloration is not just caused by UV rays, but a chemical reaction with the fuel in the tank. Now, the discoloration was not just skin deep, but went through the entire material, so sanding wasn't going to work either. And even though this project was a fail, I still enjoyed the process and I did learn a few things. Now, I could replace the fuel tank, however, this design is not available anymore, so I'd have to replace it with a new design. So personally, I think I'll just keep it the way it is for right now. In the third video on my list, I took a second look at yet another piece of equipment that I deemed to be unsavable without major work. In a previous episode, I explained how I got this Honda mower and then tried to figure out why they got rid of it. It didn't take long to realize that it had a lot of things wrong with it, so much so that the cost to repair it would be better spent on a new mower instead. The biggest issue I was having was that it was hard to start, and after doing a compression test while using the rope, I found the reading to be lower than it should have been. Now, using the rope will allow the decompression valve to activate, and the reading will be lower than if you used a drill, but the reading was right on the borderline of a working engine, so I assumed that the piston rings must have been worn out. However, in this video, I tried to use some engine restore as suggested by many of the viewers, but before I even got a chance to start the engine, I was able to get a better reading than before by using a drill to turn the engine over, and this time it showed it to be in a much better condition. Once again, I was humbled by my mistake, and at the end of the series, everything worked out just like it should, and I even got a new set of wheels and tires for it. The best part was that since I did all the work myself, it only took about $80 in parts to get this mower back up and running again. The number 2 video on my list was released only a few weeks ago, and it had to do with a Cub Cadet mower with an overseas engine. I saw an online ad for a free mower, met with the owner, had a long conversation about it, and then took it home, only to find out that it started and ran just fine. The problem was that the owner told me that it stopped while he was using it, and he couldn't get it started again. Now, he didn't want the mower back because he'd already bought a replacement, so I happily used it for several months this past summer, and then the same problem happened to me, but it wasn't as bad as his situation. The engine would start and run, but it was surging very badly. This was quite the mystery because the problems were several months apart, but at least it gave me the opportunity to finally take the carb apart and inspect it. Now, the fix was the usual servicing and cleaning without any real surprises, and at the end, I was able to get it running again. The reason I found this video to be one of my favorites was because of the whole mystery of it all. It failing to start one day, only to start the next day, run for months, and then have almost the same issue come up again. I don't mind easy fixes, but sometimes I like to spice things up a little bit. Now, I will admit that the number 1 video on my personal list is kind of cheating because I haven't released it yet, but this isn't going to stop me from putting it on my list. Now, you've already seen the video where I tell you about its backstory and the eventual cleaning, but in the video I'll be releasing soon, I go about fixing it only to find a bigger problem. Now, the previous owner handed over all the extra parts they had for it because what they were giving away was an unfinished project, which isn't as helpful as you might think. I would rather pick up an untouched mower, blower, or trimmer any day than one that someone started on and gave up on. The reasoning is pretty obvious. When you pick up someone else's project, you have to check over all the work they've done, and that's because you didn't do that work yourself, so you have to make sure that they did it right, and boy did they mess this one up. I won't spoil it for you, but let's just say if you didn't know what the correct way was, you never know what the problem was. I know that's a bit cryptic, but that's the best way I can explain it. The reason for this being my favorite video of the year wasn't because I saved a piece of equipment history or because it was rare. The reason was because I was able to pick up someone's project, fix their issues, and then get it running again. It also turned out to be a very clean mower with hardly any scratches on it. It also had the same reasoning as the last video. Sometimes you want to spice things up a bit, and this one had about 10 peppers hiding in it. So those were my favorite top 5 videos from this last year, and I'm quite happy with how my videos turned out this year. But what I thought were great videos, the viewers had a different opinion on, so these are the top 5 videos by views for this past year. The number 5 video was a video where I took an engine apart to find out why it was smoking, and when I say smoking, I don't mean just at startup, but even after it warmed up, it was still smoking. In the previous episode, I tried using some engine restore, but the damage was just too much, and after taking the engine apart, you can see just how bad it really was. Now, the reason I think this one was so popular was it must be a common issue for a lot of mowers, and people were just curious to know how bad things were for it to smoke this much. The other reason is that the viewers must like watching things get taken apart, because I hate to say it, I feel the same way too. The number 4 video was a video I made about the same Honda mower I took a second look at, except this time we're trying to figure out why the self-propel wasn't working. What I found out was that it had been disabled on purpose. I then fixed it, but while I was under the mower, I checked the transmission only to find out that it didn't have any oil in it. In the video after this one, I fixed a leaking oil seal, and now I have a great mower to either sell, replace my other Honda mower when it breaks, or give to someone in need. Now, if I had to guess why this video did so well, it was about a self-propel system that wasn't working, which, if I had to guess, is a common problem with older Honda mowers. When a mower is designed to have self-propel, and if it doesn't work, they can be really difficult to use. The other possibility is that Honda mowers are very expensive and hold their value, so fixing it would definitely be worth the effort. Either way, the viewers seem to appreciate it. The number 3 video was about another Honda mower, except this time it had a very strange problem. Its problem was that it wouldn't roll backwards because the wheels would lock up. I've only seen this problem once before, and it was related to the ratcheting system on the drive gears. This one, however, was something different, and after looking at everything on the driveline, it appears that one of the axles was rusted to its support. Now, I went a little overboard on this fix, but I ended up replacing the speed selector cable, cleaning the transmission, and lubricating every place where metal made contact with anything else. When I was finished, this mower was working better than ever, and hopefully they store it inside instead of outside. If I had to guess why this video was popular, was that it must be a more common problem than I was aware of. Otherwise, the viewers just like watching me clean stuff because this one was really filthy. The second most watched video from this year had to do with a Tecumseh-powered Murray mower, and its problem was that it wouldn't start. I'm going to skip the details because we ended up replacing the carb, but after everything was done, it worked very well, and it also turned out that the mower was in really good shape. If I had to guess, I don't think it was used all that much, probably because it was leaking gasoline. Now, if I had to guess as to why this video did so well, I really couldn't say. Maybe because it's a really simple mower with very few features on it, like self-propel or even a bag. Either way, a lot of people either wanted to see this little mower run again or for the repair to fail and it get thrown away in the scrapyard. And at almost 100,000 views, the most viewed video released this year is about a Husqvarna chainsaw. Now, I'm not a chainsaw specialist by a long way. I'm mostly concerned with just getting them started, and I kind of gloss over the oiling and cutting part. The main focus of this video is apparently a common issue, which is a chainsaw that will start but won't stay running. In the end, it just needed a carb adjustment to stay running. And if I had to guess as to why this video was so popular, was because it's probably due to it being a popular brand that's sold and most people feel it's worth fixing. That's the only guess I have as to why people liked it, and if you have a better guess, I'd like to know about it. And those were the top 5 videos released this year according to views. Now this next part I didn't really care for. This last video is the one I didn't like making this year, and that video was the one about a Ryobi 4-cycle trimmer, and if you haven't seen that video on it, I would just tell you to skip it. So the problem was that it wouldn't start, and after doing some research, it turns out that the timing belt had skipped, and that's why it wouldn't start, but it turns out that it was much worse than that. Due to either the lack of maintenance or poor design, the camshaft bearing was wearing too fast, which is causing slack in the timing belt, which of course then allows the belt to jump off the timing gear. In the end, I really wish I hadn't worked on this trimmer. It's just too expensive, too heavy, and it has questionable reliability. If you happen to come across one of these on the side of the road, slow down, get a good look at it to make sure it is a Ryobi 4-cycle, and then carefully drive away. If you have this trimmer and it still works, I'd like to hear from you. Otherwise, just stay away from it. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. I know I've enjoyed looking back at all the videos from this past year, and I can't wait to see how the next year turns out. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate your time here. Please feel free to ask me any questions, and I hope to see you in the next video.